Hello everyone, my name is Steve Etzel. I'm coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the United States. This is my first attempt at a chess video. This is a topic that interests me, has interested me for many years. It is the Cambridge Springs 1904 tournament. What I am about to show you should be of interest to chess collectors and chess book lovers and chess historians. So I have accumulated this collection over many years. I have a website dedicated to the tournament. It is cs1904.com. Feel free to go there. It's free. It has a lot of information. So what you see here in front of you is a chess set which I believe may have been one of the actual chess sets used in the Cambridge Springs tournament. I have no provenance to prove that. However, with the help of a friend, we have done a lot of research, and there are a few interesting facts about this set that would lead me to believe there's a high likelihood that it is one of the original sets used in the tournament. The original sets were sold at the end of the tournament along with the boards, I believe, which were not high quality, and also with a signed certificate of some sort, and we'll come back to that later. The two distinguishing features of this chess set that make it appear that it could be from Cambridge Springs are the knights. This chess set most likely was made by the American Chess Company. The knights themselves had unique heads put on them, and they are identical to the sets that were used in Cambridge Springs. And how do we know that? Well, you see in the middle of this board a photograph which has been reproduced, which shows the actual sets that were used in the tournament along with the clock. The other interesting thing about this set is the queen, and it has 8 crenellations, which is also a unique feature compared to some other sets at that time. The sets have leather bottoms, and they are weighted, and you can see that here. So the bottom has come off of this black knight. From a style standpoint, also an interesting thing about this set is that the rook is very heavy, so it's definitely a castle. As I mentioned in the picture is the Waterbury clock that was used in the tournament. And what you see here is an actual Waterbury clock. And I bought this on eBay several years ago, and it actually works. It's a very heavy construction. It's metal, has a wood base. Very nice. With the set came what I believe to be an original box. It has some writing on the bottom of it, but it's really not all that legible. So that's the set and the clock. Now let's move on to some other material. So here is a postcard which I bought in northwestern Pennsylvania, which has Hotel Rider on it, which was the hotel where the tournament was held. And you can see there's imprint on this postcard advertising the then upcoming tournament in April and May of 1904. So let's move on to books. So at the time of the tournament, each day the organizers would print a tournament bulletin. This is a photocopy of the bulletins that I have here that I've copied for research. These were printed and sent out every day. This set of bulletins became the forerunner of what is known as the American Chess Bulletin that then went on to be published for about 60 years. This is volume 1, number 1 of the American Chess Bulletin, and it essentially formed the first tournament book for the tournament. And a friend of mine was generous enough to give me this original copy. I also have a reproduction copy that I had gotten originally when I first started my research. Subsequent to that, in around 1935, I believe, Fred Reinfeld of Black Knight Press at the time produced a tournament book, nice hardcover tournament book with lots of annotations and so on. And for many years, this was the first real and only tournament book for Cambridge Springs, 1904. I also know that a few years later, a paperback copy was produced as well. This original hardcover had a dust jacket, but I do not have the dust jacket. There was also an errata sheet that was published later, and this is an image of that. Turns out the errata sheet actually had an error on it as well. So that is an overview of some of the original books. Somewhere along the line, a guy named Schrader, I believe, James Schrader, produced another book about the tournament, and it looks like to be self-published, something I picked up along the way. So, also one other thing about the tournament, another piece of memorabilia I have, going back to the sets and so on, this is a piece of cardboard with the autographs of 4 of the participants at Cambridge Springs. Mises, Marco, Janowski, and Marshall, who won the tournament. There were 4 of these that were sold on eBay several years ago. I have one of them. I know who has another one of them. You can see all 4 of them on my website, cs1904.com. Now, I am not sure whether or not these are part of those original certificates that I was talking about that were sold with the sets or not, but they definitely appear to be original signatures. I did mention that there were some photos taken at the tournament. These photos were taken by someone from Philadelphia called Walter Penn Shipley. There's actually a McFarland book written about Walter Penn Shipley, and these are in the Historical Museum, Pennsylvania Historical Museum in Philadelphia. And along the way, I got a reproduction of this photo. This is from the Brilliancy Prize game. Schlechter is white, Lasker is black. Schlechter beat Lasker and won the Brilliancy Prize. Speaking of photos, here is another photo of Lasker between 2 young ladies, and he is sitting apparently on the veranda or outside of the Hotel Rider. I can tell from the windows in the background that's what it is, but this is young Lasker, who came out of sabbatical to play in Cambridge Springs, and he was world champion at the time. Also, speaking of books, here is a book by Eric Schiller, may he rest in peace. This is on the Cambridge Springs defense, and the Cambridge Springs defense was named because of the Cambridge Springs 1904 tournament. It was played 3 times by black in that tournament. I don't know that the games themselves were particularly of note, but that's how the variation of the Queen's Gambit Declined got its name. I've done a lot of collecting and research over the years, so if we just move on, I have a whole binder full of material that I've collected over the years. This happens to be an ad for the Erie Railroad, which they used the chess tournament as an advertising gimmick, if you will, at the time of the tournament. The Erie Railroad ran through Cambridge Springs and stopped in Cambridge Springs about halfway between New York and Chicago. Cambridge Springs at the time was a resort town, and it had several hotels, and the belief was that the water had curative powers. So let's talk a little bit more about the Hotel Rider. It was a huge hotel. It was very renowned. I've collected several examples of memorabilia from the hotel. This is a packet of postcards. Here is a plate commemorating the hotel rider. I have a booklet which describes the hotel in great detail. I've made a photocopy of it, which I'll show you here. It has all the floor plans, and it has the prices, which you could get a cheap room for as low as $4 a night, $3 a night actually, if you wanted to stay in the hotel. And I believe there are about 500 rooms in the hotel. I've also collected over the years many postcards about Cambridge Springs, and particularly the hotel rider and other things from back in that era. So quite interesting. If you want to see these images, you can go to my website. The last thing I wanted to point out for this video is that in 2004, the Erie Chess Club, along with myself, we have, back in 2004, we had a 100th anniversary event. It was well publicized locally. It was held at the Hotel Riverside, which dates back to the early 1900s. Unfortunately, it has since burned down in 2017. But at the time, that was the location of our 2004 event. And our featured guest was Larry Evans, who did a simul on Friday night, and on Saturday night, he gave a speech about the Fischer-Spassky match, and on Sunday, he gave another lecture, which was followed by a lecture that I gave about the history. And so here's a picture of much younger me on the left, Larry Evans in the middle, and a representative of the Erie Chess Club on the right. And that was from the Saturday night lecture on Fischer-Spassky. One more quick thing about Cambridge Springs is that it was also the site of one of the U.S. championships, and so it was also held at the Hotel Riverside. And here we have a issue of Chess Life showing the Hotel Riverside in the background. I will finish this video talking about the latest book that was published about Cambridge Springs. It was written by Michael Dombrowski from Germany, aptly titled Cambridge Springs 1904. This book has a famous picture of all the participants standing in front of the main entrance of the Hotel Rider. This book is written entirely in German. I am proud to say that I collaborated on this book. It is a hardbound book, and I don't understand German, but I understand enough to be able to follow the games. There is a lot of analysis in the games, in the book, and then there's a lot of historical information that Michael got from his research, and then there is a lot of photos, including reproductions of other games that are other photos that Walter Penn Shipley had taken during the actual tournament. And so it's a complete and thorough review of the tournament. I encourage you, if you're interested, to get the book. I do not myself have any financial interest in that. I am trying to encourage Michael to have an English translation made, which should make it more accessible to more interested chess players. So, in summary, this is one of my lifelong hobbies, is learning and studying and reporting on the Cambridge Springs 1904 tournament, and this is a good representation of a lot of the materials that I have collected over the years. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again. Bye.